Hey TCC youth, happy Valentine's Day. I'm so excited to be able to deliver this message to you on YouTube on this special day. I decided to come up into the youth room. It's been a while since we've been up here, so I thought it'd be cool to bring you guys a message from our territory, from our stomping grounds. This year's theme for 2021 is all about changed lives. We've been focusing on the change that Jesus brings, how Jesus can bring change to our lives individually, corporately, and to the people around us. We've been doing testimonies, we've been talking to different people, and I'm super excited to bring you guys our first testimony for 2021 for TCC Youth. Why don't you guys go ahead and check this out.
Hello, my name is Raphael. I am going to be 12 this year and I am in the 6th grade. I am the oldest of 3 kids. I like to eat pizza, play with my friends and family, play fighting games, and read my Bible. 3 days before my first birthday, my dad went to prison for 7 years. And ever since I knew this, I prayed to God to ask him to let my dad be free. I was scared because I thought I would never meet my dad. When I was 5 or 6 on Mother's Day, I gave my life to Jesus and I knew I would see my dad again. Then the day that I gave up asking Jesus to let my dad out of prison, that's the day my mom got a call from my grandma saying that he was home with her. And then here I am. As my dad always says, I'm a good little man. But I've never felt like that. In fact, I've always felt the opposite. The reason why is because I always thought no one cared. But then I met TCC Youth, my best friends and family. I'm so thankful that y'all have been here for me. I know God has brought me to help. I am so thankful that y'all are my best friends and family. And I would also like to give a special thanks to the TCC Youth leaders. I thank y'all for coming every week on Sunday nights to help us grow and giving us your time to grow in Jesus Christ. And because of all of that, I know Jesus is all about changing lives.
Wow, Raphael, you are a good little dude. And I'm so thankful that Jesus has made such an impact on your entire family. You know, all throughout the Gospels, we read story after story after story about the impact that Jesus made on people's lives. And today, we're going to focus on probably one of the most famous stories about Jesus ever told. It's not his birth, it's not his death, those don't count, but it's about the woman at the well. The woman at the well is a story that's deeply rich in division. The entire area that Jesus is walking at this time is devoted to Samaritan people. Samaritan people were despised by Jews. They were half Jews. They weren't full Jewish. They were looked at as less than. They were looked at as not real people even. And so when we get into this story, you're really going to see what Jesus does to break down that divide and how he changed this woman's life. So John chapter 4 takes place as Jesus and the disciples are traveling. They come to Samaria and the disciples go to find food. They've traveled, it's the middle of the day, it's hot. And so they're going to get food and Jesus stays behind. I would guess that he probably knew that he had an appointment at that well. And as he approaches this Samaritan woman, he says to her, "Woman, can I have a drink?" She's shocked. She even responds to him in that shock. "Who are you to talk to me, a Samaritan woman?" she says. And Jesus, this is where he starts to change her life. Jesus makes these comments to her that break down everything that she knows to be true. Everything that she knows about Jewish men. Everything she knows about God. Because in her eyes, the Jewish men were the people of God and they represented God. So what they did is what God does. And as he breaks this down to her, he starts to break down her barriers. He starts to define to her what it is that he has come to do. And as he starts to tell her that, drinking this water will quench your thirst for a little while, but those who drink from the living water will never go thirsty again, she starts to wonder what's happening. Next, Jesus tells her, go get your husband and come back. And she says, well, I have no husband. And he says, what you've said is very true. And he goes on to tell her all about her sin and all about the things that she's done wrong. But he doesn't tell her in a way that makes her feel bad about herself. He tells her in a way to let her know that I know who you are, I know what you've been through, and I'm here to help. Now, after this exchange, after Jesus explains the sin that she's living in, but doesn't make her feel condemned, she says, sir, I recognize that you are a prophet. I recognize who you are. But she's still got questions. She still wants to talk about how things should be done. How should we worship? Where should we worship? And Jesus says, look, the time is coming where it won't matter where you worship. The only thing that will matter is that you do worship. It's at about this time that the disciples return. Now, the disciples knew that Jesus shouldn't be talking to this woman. They knew that this Samaritan woman and Jesus had no business having the conversation. But I think by this point, the disciples had learned not to question Jesus. If he's doing something that we think shouldn't be done, he's probably doing it for a reason. So they don't question him. They don't ask. They just watch. And the woman leaves her jar. Get this. She leaves what she came for. She doesn't come what she thought she came for. And she leaves and runs back to the city telling everybody about this man. Okay? At that point, this is when real change starts to happen. As we look at John chapter 4 and we look at what's happening, Jesus has made a change in this woman's life by his compassion, by his love, by bringing truth to her. She gets to go back to her town and tell everybody about this man. When you skip down to chapter 39, it says many in the town began to believe because of her testimony. She spoke the truth about the change that Jesus made in her life, and that in turn began to turn people towards Jesus. Now, it goes on to say that people came to Jesus, and as they came to Jesus, they asked him to stay, and he stayed there for 2 more days, and many people began to believe. And they went back to the woman and they said, we no longer simply believe because of what you've said, we believe because of what he's done. I encourage you today that as you tell people about Jesus, as you encounter people around you, it's our job to inform them of the change that Jesus can bring. It's our job to show people Jesus. Now, we don't have to defend Jesus. We don't have to go any further than that. We just show them who Jesus is. And the change that he makes in their life will confirm to them that he is who he said he is. As we close today, and as you read through John chapter 4, and I strongly urge you to read through it, there's a lot of good stuff in there. I want you to take notice of something. I want you to take notice of the barriers that Jesus is breaking down. He's breaking down the Samaritan woman's own barriers, the barriers that she built for herself by having husband after husband after husband. That barrier of shame, that barrier of embarrassment, that barrier of social construct. You notice she's at the well all by herself. That wasn't a normal practice. The women of the town, when they went to get water, they didn't do it by themselves. It probably wasn't safe. But she had to go by herself later in the day because of the shame of the life that she lived. Jesus broke that down. She also knew that she shouldn't be talking to Jesus. She knew that by talking with Jesus that she was risking ridicule, and so was he. Jesus broke that barrier down too. He doesn't want barriers between us. He doesn't want barriers between him and us. He wants us to live in freedom. So I encourage you today, if you've never asked Jesus to come in and break down your barriers, do that today. Leave me a message in the chat and say, PC, I want to break down these barriers today. And I'll reach out to you, or one of our team will reach out to you, and we'll pray with you. We want that freedom for you. So make today the day that you take the chance, that you take the step, that you take the barrier-breaking move of letting Jesus into your life. I want to thank you guys for being with us, TCC Youth family, guests, friends. Thank you for taking this time out and seeing the change that Jesus can make in your life. I know we'd rather be in person. Sometimes that just can't happen. I want you guys to take the time to read through John chapter 4. Let God speak to you and let him show you what he has exactly for you in this time. I love you guys. Have a great, great week. Can't wait to talk to you guys for Tuesday night prayer. God bless.